What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another video where we're going to talk about travel, more specifically how to plan an unforgettable road trip. So, in case you guys didn't know, last summer, the summer of 2016, I went on an epic road trip across the United States. I went 25,000 miles, no, sorry, went 17,000 miles on less than $2,500 for a span of 80 days. It was the craziest thing I've done in my life, and it was probably the most epic, unforgettable thing ever. And it's because of all the little things that made up that bigger road trip. So I'm going to share with you guys how to plan, or how I planned that trip specifically. Now, there's two things you got to know. So when you plan something, obviously you can plan it out day by day, step by step, so that you're stuck to a schedule and that kind of thing, or you can kind of just wing it. Now, if you don't know me, I am typically a very organized and structured individual. I like to plan things out, like to be able to have expectations for what's going to happen. Well, I decided that I wanted to step outside my comfort zone. And I chose to step outside my comfort zone because I truly believe that the greatest things, the greatest, developments, the greatest experiences happen just outside your comfort zone. That's why borderless inspiration is kind of like my motto right now. It's like, whatever your borders are right now, right outside of those borders is where you'll find inspiration and you'll find the greatest things in life. And so I wanted to step outside my comfort zone, so I said, hey, I'm just going to wing it. Now, there was a lot more that went into it before I got to that point, so let me give you a little backstory. So, it was the spring of 2016, and I was looking for internships, and I was having a hard time finding an internship, and I was like, well, my backup plan, because I didn't want to have a lame summer, I didn't want to do nothing all summer, so I was like, my backup plan will do a road trip. And about a couple months into the spring, almost summertime, I was like, you know what? Scratch this whole internship thing. I don't want to do an internship. I want to travel the world and see the world and get to meet people and experience different cultures. And I was like, well, financially, that's not necessarily plausible, but I could definitely travel the United States, and there's plenty of different cultures and diversity within the United States. So I said, all right, I'm going to do a road trip. And I only planned like a week or two. Like, I was like, I'm just going to do a small road trip, something like that. And turns out that as I thought more about it and I was like researching things to do, places to go, it just was building. There was so much to do, so much to see. I was like, you know what? I just have to go everywhere. And I was like, I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'm just going to go for it. And then I was like starting to try to plan it all out, and I'm like getting overwhelmed, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I decided, stop. What do I want to do to really have a great experience? Do I want to plan everything out, be stuck to a schedule, be stuck to like, on this day, I have hotel here, I can only go here, I only have 24 hours in this place, 48 hours, whatever it is. And I realized, no, I have a car, I'm not afraid to sleep in it, and it's actually turned out to be really comfortable. It was amazing. I get really tired and come back and sleep straight 8 hours, wake up and be ready to go. It was amazing. But so I was like, do I really want to hold myself stuck to that sort of schedule? And I was like, no. So I was like, all right, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. I was really scared about it at first. The three things I was really most scared about was, like not having a plan. Am I going to be okay being alone? And then like, what am I going to do with my time? Like, I don't know. Like, but the being alone thing was probably the most intimidating about the trip. But so essentially I said, all right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to take the car. I'm going to sleep in Walmart parking lots because it's free and it's really cheap. Well, everything else is really cheap, I mean. And so I just was like, all right, I'm going for it. And that's when I decided that I was going to go for it. And so just to like show you guys a brief little picture here, this is kind of what my road trip looked like in the very beginning. This is kind of like what I thought I was going to do. And then I kind of was, as I said, like when I was planning, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. And that was like right before I went on my trip. And that's when I was like, all right, forget it. I'm just going for it. I'm just going to go wherever I go, wherever the wind takes me, I'm going to go. And I ended up doing all of this. And then about August 5th, which is kind of near the end of my trip, that's kind of like what the final trip looked like, minus all the actual destinations that I went to. And so if you kind of see in that progression, like, things just compiled together and like just started growing. Like whenever I saw a sign that said, hey, this is cool, this is interesting, I was like, I'm going for that. Like, for example, when I was in Long Island, I'd planned to go see a lighthouse because I'd never been to a lighthouse before. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Lighthouses are awesome. It's beautiful right over the water. And I was like, all right, next time I see, sorry, next time I see a lighthouse or a sign for it, I'm going to go for it. And so there are so many on the northern East Coast that I ended up doing like a bunch of them, and then I was like, let's see how many I can see. And so every time I saw one, or every time I did a little bit of research and saw that there was one nearby, I went to it. And by the end of the trip, I had gone to 40 different lighthouses. It was ridiculous. Like, I never would have thought that was going to happen. I went to a Navy Sea Museum that I never expected to go to in Connecticut. An unfortunate story was in Montreal. We found a dead body in the water when I was doing a amphibious boat cruise kind of thing. I'll talk about that later in some of my other videos in the next coming months. Talk about the crazy stories of things that happened. I met an awesome family who let me ride in a dune buggy, which I never even knew sand dunes existed in the United States. Like, that would have totally not been on my planned road trip. But because I was flexible and just went with the flow, I saw a sign for it, and I was like, what? A sand dune? And I just went for it. It was, like, the coolest thing ever. So that's how I just, like, so many of the things that I remember vividly from my trip and that were the greatest experiences were things that I never would have ever dreamed of planning into a trip. And that's why I really want to recommend that if you're going on a road trip, specifically a road trip. Now, if you're going on vacation somewhere, it's a little bit different. But if you're going on a road trip, do something so that you are flexible and mobile. So if that's like renting an RV if you have to, or getting a van, or going with other people. If you have to do any of those things, then do that. Or not booking hotels or hostels ahead of time. No, there aren't really hostels in the United States, but if you go somewhere else. So whatever you can do to make yourself really flexible is probably going to be the best thing for you if you're planning a road trip. And so that's what I really wanted to emphasize in this video, guys, is that planning a road trip, you can either plan it or not plan it. And I recommend not planning it because that leaves you with so many more opportunities, so many more great experiences, and just unlimited capabilities. And so if you guys have any specific questions about my road trip, I'm going to be sharing more and more about it as the days come. You can check out all the other videos that I have. I made an FAQ video, which I'll put a link. And then there's so many other things for me to talk about. So I'll be making videos for the next couple months for you guys to all check out. Sorry about that. My light just went out. It does it all the time. And it came back. So with that being said, if you have any other questions about planning a vacation, how to travel like on a cheap budget, because that's what I did, less than $2,500 for 80 days. It was ridiculous. Feel free to give me a message or to find me on Facebook. I'll put a link to my Facebook in the description as well. Other than that, in the meantime, guys, you can check out one of my latest videos up in the top corner up here. And then you can also subscribe to my channel up there. Please do that as well. That really helps me to reach more people. So, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until next time, high five. Peace out.